Hey, good Tuesday afternoon. Why does it already feel like it should be Friday? We had such a busy day yesterday. We are once again going to have a busy day again today. So let's talk about that storm chance today. Last night's storms, 2 3-star hailers. Another round today. What are we expecting today? Large hail, high wind, and tornadoes. And then this risk that's sitting over Oklahoma, Texas, all the way out to the Midwest, it'll slowly start to shift to the east. So the storms will move into the Midwest, Tennessee Valley, and into the Gulf states later this week. So we're talking about not today, not tomorrow, but most likely by about that Thursday, Friday time range. So we still have another full, probably week ahead of us, probably 4 days ahead of us covering storms, okay? So let's talk about what we saw yesterday, then we'll move on to what we're seeing today. So you can see that yesterday we saw all of those storms up to the northern plains and into the Midwest, the upper Midwest here. Into just right around Minneapolis, we saw storms on the northern side, we saw storms on the southern side of Minneapolis, we saw storms in Wisconsin. We saw storms all the way down into Kansas, and then what we really were watching for as we headed into the late night hours last night were those storms in northern Nebraska, southern Oklahoma. There was one coming out of Texas into southern Oklahoma that we were really keeping an eye on. It does look like we have a few warnings on the radar right now, so we'll get to those here in just a few minutes. But I want to talk about what we saw yesterday. There's a few of those reports, mainly hailers, up to the north into places like Minnesota, northern Iowa, and Wisconsin. There's a few storms out of Oklahoma coming into Oklahoma City, but they died before they got to the city. We really didn't see a ton here in the city. I know we got pea-sized hail down in Norman, but those big hailers happened farther down to the south and west near Mangum, Oklahoma. Now we saw some massive hailstorms out of Mangum. Go to our Facebook page and look at some of those pictures because they are quite impressive. Now, even farther down to the south, we saw some, let's see, one hail report, some wind reports here. Now, as we headed into the overnight hours, we got a very big wind event, anywhere from Miami, Oklahoma, all the way into Springfield. Actually, a tornado warning in Springfield this morning. So we started off the morning very active. And we are going to continue today with that active trend. As you just saw, we just got a brand new tornado warning. We have several watches in place as well. Do you see those areas highlighted in pink, anywhere from the southern side of Missouri into Illinois and then into Ohio? Yes, we still have watches, or we have brand new watches rather, in place right now, and we have that tornado warning ongoing as well this morning. So we've got a lot to talk about here. I'm not going to talk too much about what's happening right now. I'm going to get more into the forecast. So I want to kind of skip through some of these graphics. 50s and 60s, a little bit cooler today in places like Kansas City and Oklahoma, still holding on to the 70s and 80s down to the south. Taking a look at that hailstorm highlight from yesterday, very quickly showing you where we saw those massive hailstorms out in Mangum, Oklahoma. 3-inch size hail coming from this storm, about 62,000 people impacted here. Our second 3-star of the night was up in Kansas. So this is anywhere from Salina through Manhattan, Clay Center, Kansas. Another 3-star here with hail up to the size of about a baseball here. 46,000 people impacted. So we were very busy yesterday. We're going to be very busy today as well. And as I told you, I'm going to skip through some of these graphics so that we can get to your forecast. Here's your forecasted dew points. Yes, we've still got a ton of moisture out there. I know that those temperatures feel a little bit cooler in Oklahoma today. However, you've got plenty of moisture that storms can still fire in this area, not only today, but also tomorrow. That moisture, especially in those dark green colors, looks pretty impressive the farther north and east that we go. And because we do have such a saturated atmosphere, we also have a saturated ground from all of that rain over the last few days. So because we have such a saturated atmosphere, we are going to see a ton of rain coming from these storms, and not only just one round of rain, but we're going to see round after round after round. That is going to increase the flooding risk over the next few days. So if you see rain in your area, you also probably are in some sort of flood risk. So make sure that you're checking with your local weather source, whether that be your local news or your local National Weather Service office, for those flood risks. However, we will give you an update here on the tornado and wind and hail risk. Okay, so let's start with that hail risk. We have a significant hail model here showing a really good chance for hail down in southern Oklahoma and northern Texas today. Go farther up to the north. Now those hail sizes may be a bit smaller farther up to the north, but yes, in places like Cincinnati, Columbus, we still have a good chance for large hail in this area as well. Let's take a look at that hail forecast here. A little bit lower for those hail sizes than what we saw yesterday. Still a pretty good chance to see some hailers out of this. We've got places like Columbus with those hailstones right around the size of a ping pong ball. I think that we're going to struggle to get up to golf ball size hail. Louisville also in that ping pong ball to maybe $half size range. Rochester, very similar. Hail sizes go up the farther south that you go. So you go into places like Oklahoma City, Midland, you could see those large hailstones. Now I think it's a pretty low chance for Oklahoma City, but you go farther down into southern Oklahoma and into the northern portion, northwestern portion of Texas, that's going to be your sweet spot to get those larger hailstones. So I think right in here, I should have added a few more cities on here to show you that this is where you'll see the best chance for those large hailstones today. Moving on to some of our other risks here. Oh, max forecasted hail size. Yesterday, I told you softball size hail. We saw larger than baseball size hail yesterday. So I'm going to say that verified. Today, we're taking a step down. We're going to baseball size hail today. 2.75 inches, I think that's absolutely doable. However, I think it's going to be a very low chance to get up to that softball size hail today. Alrighty, moving on to your other hazards here. Your wind risk. High wind possible, once again, down in southern Oklahoma and into northern Texas. While we will see some high wind up to the north, I think it'll be between that 65 to 70 mile per hour range. Nothing out of the ordinary there. All right, moving on to that tornado forecast. Midland to Oklahoma City and a level 2 risk for tornadoes today. Yes, I think that we could see several tornadoes in those areas highlighted there in yellow. That's a moderate risk, a level 2. That level 1 risk anywhere from Springfield to Louisville, but that risk increases as we go into Columbus and Rochester. Again, not as high as what we saw yesterday, but still on the board, still absolutely something to take very seriously. Let's talk about timing here. For your future radar, we see that storms are lingering through the morning hours. We saw that rain this morning. We're going to see a few showers into the afternoon. However, the biggest risk for that severe risk, those severe storms, are going to come in a more isolated fashion. So what we're watching for here are these isolated or even sometimes clustered storms anywhere from Lubbock, Texas, all the way up into Oklahoma City. You can see that as we go later on into the evening, these storms become more widespread. Now, the more clustered they are, the more that they get in each other's spaces, the less isolated these storms are. The lower that hail risk, the lower that tornado risk. That's good, right? Still, if we could get an isolated storm or two, which we have plenty on this model right here, plenty of isolated storms, then we absolutely could see a supercell produce a tornado. Several tornadoes are possible, and some large hail, as well as some high wind, especially as we start to get this line of storms start to congeal. All of these storms will start to congeal with each other and create a line of storms. We could start to see some really high wind out of this as well. What we look for here is that backwards C-shaped. So anytime that you see that crescent-like shaped, that's whenever you know that we've got high winds coming your way. So we're talking about northern Texas at this point, southern Oklahoma. Now let's move up to the north. Oh, one thing to note about those Oklahoma and Texas storms, I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to show you this one more time. You're going to see round after round after round of rain in the same spots over and over and over. What am I talking about here? Anywhere from Oklahoma City down 44 and into the northwestern portion of Texas, right around the Lubbock area, right in here. There's not just one round of storms, you've got another round. And then wait for it, you've got another round of storms coming. So you've got round after round of rain, not only posing that hail and tornado risk, but also that flood risk, okay? You get too much rain too fast, it doesn't matter how much rain you get. If it doesn't have any place to go, it starts to pond on the roadways and causes that flooding risk for you for your evening and potentially your morning commute tomorrow. So again, make sure any of your evening plans tonight, you are staying weather aware of what's going on the roadways. You know the drill here. Turn around, don't drown, when in doubt, take another route. You know those little rhymes that we say. I hope it gets stuck in your head so that you don't have any road issues later on this evening. Alrighty, moving on to your future radar here, St. Louis into Cincinnati. We're expecting to see several rounds of rain here as well. Again, several of these could produce tornadoes as well as large hail, and we've got that wind threat right around 65 to 70 miles per hour through not only this afternoon, but also this evening. Moving on to tomorrow now, so for your Wednesday forecast, that hail and tornado risk is more focused down into Oklahoma, Texas, the western portion of Arkansas and western portion of Louisiana. Now, yes, we still have a hail and a wind threat and a tornado threat here, so I'm going to show you kind of each hazard and break it down for you. Here's your SPC outlook for tomorrow. It's a slight risk here highlighted in yellow from Dallas all the way to Little Rock. We've got storms ongoing in the morning hours, and that will continue through the afternoon. Once again, round after round of rain here. So let's break down your hazards. Let's go to your hail forecast. We've got that level 2 forecast highlighted here in yellow. So San Antonio, Dallas, Wichita Falls, Amarillo. What's your hail sizes here? Once again, I think that we could get up to tennis ball size hail, highlighted there in red. So that'll be just to the west of Dallas, south of Amarillo, north of San Antonio, this little area right in between these three cities. You can see some larger hail. However, for the cities themselves, still some pretty decent hail sizes, right? Golf ball size hail, anywhere from Amarillo to Dallas, down into San Antonio. Houston, just on the outskirts of this here. So if you go to the west of Houston, you may get some of those larger hailstones. Alrighty, let's talk about your max forecasted hail size for tomorrow. I think that once again we could see baseball size hail here. And yes, we do have a tornado risk. That is a level 2 on a scale of 5. This highlighted here in yellow, the bullseye here really seems to include Dallas. So make sure that you are staying weather aware for those storms tomorrow posing a tornado risk on DFW. But this risk in level 1, highlighted here in green, goes all the way up as far north as Little Rock and even into northern Arkansas here. So a lot of people included in this risk for tomorrow as well. We've got a lot of people included today, a lot of people included tomorrow. I know that we just talked about a lot of timelines and storm hazards here, so let's break this down one more time. I'll make this very, very simple in plain language. What we're expecting for today is large hail, high wind, and that tornado threat anywhere from the northwest side of Texas all the way through Oklahoma into Missouri, southern portions of Indiana and Illinois, all the way up through Ohio and even portions of northern Kentucky. As you can see, these storms continue to progress a little bit farther out to the east as we go throughout the overnight hours tonight. However, as we get more onto the east coast, I think that severe risk is going to diminish. As we head into tomorrow, we have another chance for storms anywhere from Oklahoma City to Lubbock, Texas to Dallas, Texas. What we're watching for tomorrow is going to be that ongoing flood threat, not only today but also tomorrow. You could see some large hail here that's going to be farther out to the west of Dallas. And then you can also see that tornado threat mixing in as well. So that's Wednesday. We don't stop there with your storm threat. We have another chance for storms on Thursday as well, and I'll show you that risk here in just a few minutes. That risk is going to be a little bit farther out to the east. So we finally see that risk shift out to the east, and I think that's where we see most of the severe threat as we head into the end of the work week. So the very beginning of the work week, but was focused on the plains and the Midwest, the end of the work week farther out to the east. So there's your threat for Wednesday. Thursday, I told you we're slowly pushing towards the coast, right? I mean, but even then, we're still in the Tennessee Valley, all the way down to some of our Gulf states, and even still holding on to Texas here, Houston included in that risk on Thursday. We don't have a risk for Friday yet. However, I could see one getting issued farther out to like the East Coast on Friday. Temperatures here, moving on to temperatures. Now, I know that we gave you a lot of information, so if you ever need to go back and see that information again, once this live is over, you can always go back and watch that again. You can pause it, you can rewind it, I can talk slower, you can put it in 0.75 times, so I talk slower. Anyway, let's move on to your future temperatures. It looks like we're warming up into the 70s for tomorrow. Here in Oklahoma, we've got 50s, 60s, and 70s on Thursday. Not too much of a change here. If we change at all, it may be just a little bit cooler as we head into the middle of the work week after that cold front moves on to the east, right? High winds, Pretty windy up in the Midwest today. Got some winds. I haven't seen this forecast yet, so I'm looking at it as you look at it. High winds down in Dallas and Houston on Wednesday. What about Thursday? Any high wind on Thursday? Not too bad. If we see any of those high wind gusts out in the Midwest. Alrighty, moving on. Now, this is an important graphic to know about because what we've been saying the last few weeks, we've been telling you this over and over and over. If you have seen our forecast before, you've heard this spiel before. What do you need for severe weather? You need heat and you need moisture. Well, it looks like you've got the heat. So this is your extended temperature outlook into May. Yes, we're looking at those severe storms into May now. You need that heat, you've got it. You need some moisture as well. You've got it. Looks great. So from May 4th to May 8th, it looks like we still have a really good chance to stay in this very active pattern. And we told you this a few weeks ago about today. We told you this a few weeks ago about this week. And so it looks like this pattern is continuing as we head into May. So what does that mean for you? That means just about every day, if not every other day, we will have some sort of severe risk in the U.S. Now, that doesn't always mean at your exact location, but we stay in this active pattern so that several times a week you may get those storms. You may still see this heavy rain pattern continue. Of course, we'll be tracking it. We'll go day by day. We'll go hour by hour as these storms get closer. So as always, make sure that you follow us on all forms of social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And give us a call if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map. We have all of those storms from yesterday mapped already at hailtrace.com, and we have METs right now mapping those storms that are ongoing. You saw those warnings popping up as we did this forecast. We have METs right now mapping those storms. So if you're interested in one of those maps, give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com, or you can head over to our website for more information, hailtrace.com. All right, have a fantastic Tuesday afternoon. We'll see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow.